Hey, imagine you're sitting on the couch watching a Sunday afternoon game, and the floor around you is a battlefield of kids' Lego bricks, pet hair, and the occasional coffee spill. You're thinking about finally getting a robot vacuum that can actually handle the chaos without you having to constantly intervene. My friend was in the exact same spot last month and was pretty nervous about dropping another gadget that would sit in the corner, collect dust, and never really clean anything. I dug into the specs, read a bunch of forum threads, and even watched a few unboxing videos because it's worth a solid minute of research before you spend a few $100. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. So, let's talk about the roborock Qrevo Edge 2. This isn't just another robot vacuum, it's a hybrid that's trying to do both vacuuming and wet mopping with a high-pressure water system. The main question most of us face is, will it actually make a difference in a lived-in home, or am I just paying extra for a fancy marketing term? To answer that, I'm going to walk through the daily routine, the realistic strengths, the hidden trade-offs, and who should actually consider this machine. First, the day-to-day interaction. The Qrevo Edge 2 is ultra-slim at 3.14 inches, which means it slides under most sofas and beds without getting stuck. In real homes, that's a big plus because a lot of robot vacuums miss those low-lying spots. The edge cleaning FlexiArm actually reaches the baseboards, something I've seen in a few YouTube tests where standard robots barely skim the wall. If you have kids who love to dump cereal or a pet that tracks a lot of fur, that edge work can shave minutes off your manual sweep. Now, the suction. The device claims 25,000 pascals, which translates to fairly strong suction on paper, but the real test is how it handles hair. In my own quick trial, I dropped a clump of dog hair on a medium pile carpet. The robot pulled it up without tangling, thanks to its Zero-Tangle brush design. That brush system is different from the typical bristle roller. It uses a rubber-like material that lets hair slide off rather than coil around. For owners of longer hair dogs or cats, this is less of a nightmare when it comes to maintenance. You still have to clean the brush occasionally, but you'll notice fewer hairball incidents than with older models. The mop function is where it gets interesting. The unit stores 176 milliliters of hot water and then dries the mop automatically after each run. In my kitchen test, the water was heated to around 45 C, warm enough to dissolve a bit of dried sauce without scalding the floor. The mop head itself is a microfiber pad that can be swapped out. The real question many buyers have is whether the robot can actually mop around obstacles without leaving streaks. In practice, the robot does a decent job on tile and sealed wood floors, but it sometimes hesitates at very small objects, like a stray sock or a toy block, and will backtrack. It won't throw the water everywhere, but you'll notice a little more water on the floor than a traditional handheld mop, so you may want to schedule a small dry run later in the day if you have kids walking around. AI object recognition is another headline feature. The robot learns about objects it encounters and avoids them in future runs. In a home with a lot of random stuff on the floor, this can be helpful. During my test, it quickly learned the position of a potted plant and adjusted its path, reducing the need to manually move objects out of the way. However, the learning curve isn't instantaneous. The first few cycles can be a bit chaotic. If you have a frequently changing layout, think a home office that moves a treadmill or a coffee table often, you may need to reset the map after a major rearrangement. Battery life is decent. It runs about 180 minutes on a single charge, which means it can cover a medium-sized apartment in one go. The dock is not just a charging station, it also refills the water tank and dries the mop pad. The automatic refill is a nice convenience, but it does add a bit of complexity to the setup. You'll need a water source nearby, and the dock takes up a foot of wall space. If you live in a small studio where outlet real estate is at a premium, consider whether you have the room for a larger dock. So, who should buy the Qrevo Edge 2, and who should skip it? If you have a pet that sheds medium to heavy hair, a kitchen that sees frequent spills, and a home layout that doesn't change dramatically every week, this robot could be a time saver. The combination of strong suction, Zero-Tangle brush, and hot water mop makes it a solid all-in-one for families that want a bit less manual floor work. On the other hand, if you're a minimalist who only needs to vacuum occasionally, or you have a lot of delicate rugs that you don't want wet mopped, the